Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Good News Conversations here on the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network. I'm Albuquerque Journal Good News reporter Gino Gutierrez, and I'm very glad to be joined by Jessica Carothers, owner of Waxing the City and also Blow Dry Bar here in Albuquerque. Jessica, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting me today, Gino. I'm really excited. Thank you. Of course.
And Jessica, before we dive into why you're here, I was hoping you could give our listeners a little bit of a background on how you became the owner of Waxing the City and also the Blow Dry Bar here, and a little bit about the services those businesses offer.
Thank you so much. So, about 10 years ago, we moved to Albuquerque 16 years ago, and I was busy raising my boys when they were little, but my youngest son went to kindergarten, and I thought I need to do something with myself. And I'd always wanted to be a small business owner, and I've always loved the beauty industry. Although I'm not a practitioner myself, I love the beauty industry. And so I also always want Albuquerque to have more nice things. Like when something like Sawmill opens, I get so excited because we've got, more nice things in Albuquerque. So I'd been looking for a place in town somewhere where I could be waxed and feel comfortable. And I tried a few of the different places and I just never felt totally comfortable. So I visited a Waxing the City location in Denver and was like, oh my goodness, this is what I've been looking for. So I decided to open that in Albuquerque. So I opened my first Waxing the City salon in 2016 in Old Town. And then I have a second Waxing the City salon in the Northeast Heights that I opened in 2017. And then I opened Blow Dry Bar in 2018, also in the Northeast Heights. So at Waxing the City, we do full body and facial waxing for men and women. We do other fun stuff like brow tinting and lash lifts. And then at Blow Dry Bar, we are the only concept like this in the state currently where we're a no cutting, no coloring salon. We do styling only. So as you and I were discussing earlier, that gorgeous look that ladies get at the end of a cutting and coloring service is what we specialize in Blow. So shampoo, condition, blow dry, give you a gorgeous style. We also do bridal at Blow and makeup as well.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit, Jessica, before we came on about how your life previously, you grew up in the South, and yes, there's a Blow Dry Bar you mentioned on seemingly every corner, but you guys are the only one in Albuquerque, and that service is obviously very unique to the women here.
It is, and I will tell you, about every week, Gino, I get a call where someone says, can you please tell me exactly what it is you all do here? People just don't really know because we haven't had a blow dry bar in New Mexico before. And so women, especially women that have a lot of hair, love the idea of coming in and having someone else do their hair for them. So that's just a daily stressor that they can take off of their list. But we've definitely had to do a lot of education about it for sure.
So you own two businesses that offer self-care beauty services to the women of New Mexico.
Yes.
But you guys did a very special event this past weekend ahead of Mother's Day with the Barrett House. But before we get to that, you have a personal attachment to the Barrett House, correct?
Yes. So my mom volunteers there, and a lot of the sweet ladies that I go to church with volunteer there as well. They work in the clothes closet where Barrett House gets a lot of clothing donations, and they're always in need of clothing donations. And so my mom and her friends are kind of the weekly crew that come in and sort through all the clothing and get rid of the things that aren't appropriate or maybe aren't quite up to snuff. And then the ladies can go into that closet and kind of shop for their clothes.
So your mother volunteers there. And if memory serves me right, when we talked about it, you mentioned that you and her had a conversation where you kind of were talking about the women at the Barrett shelter. And you had mentioned how it would seem like it would be a great idea to have a salon go in there and offer these women some self-care and some pampering services. And then you said, wait a second, I own some salons. I could go in and do it. How did you get the ball rolling on going in ahead of Mother's Day to offer some services to these women?
Well, Holly at the Barrett House, she's their development director, is fantastic. And she and I just connected and talked about this interestingly earlier in the week. So we came in on the Friday before Mother's Day, but earlier in the week, some students from CNM's cosmetology program had come in and actually done cutting and coloring on the ladies there that wanted that. And so it's, those are students, cosmetology students who want practice time also. And the Barrett House ladies were kind enough to let those young students practice on them. But just the idea that we could go in and Holly and I are the ones that kind of came up with it together.
So I'm curious, Jessica, if you can kind of walk us through. So I remember getting there on Friday morning and one of your managers from Waxing the City was the only one in there. She was kind of stirring the wax, getting it warm.
Tony.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tony was there. What kind of services did you guys offer to the women on Friday?
Yes. So at Waxing the City, yes, one of our Northeast Heights managers, Tony, came. She's a serologist. Also, serologist is what we call our estheticians and cosmetologists that are certified to wax at Waxing the City. So Tony got there first to set up, because often after you get facial waxing, there can be a little bit of redness because the skin is just kind of, not used to that. And so our idea was for Tony to get there a little early and get started on the ladies that wanted waxing. So by the time it was time for blow dry bar to come in with hair and makeup, their skin would just be looking great for that. So Tony was offering eyebrow waxing, shaping. She was offering lip waxing, and we also did a chin wax on a lady as well.
So an awesome service that Tony was offering, but that wasn't the only thing you guys were doing as well. You had Mia and Bella come in later on, and they were two employees that work at Blow Dry Bar, and they were offering some hairstyling for some guests.
Yes. And so we go on site to do bridal parties quite a bit. We call it Blow Bridal on the Go. And we've got these little kits that we travel with, hair kits and makeup kits. And so we brought our bridal kits and just did hair on site for the ladies. So we could offer braiding or curling, or, half up, half down, kind of whatever their vision was. A lot of the ladies at the Barrett shelter said to my stylist, just do whatever you think is best. Like whatever you want to do, that will be great. And then we did offer makeup services as well. So we could give the ladies either a full face of makeup or makeup touch up, kind of whatever they were wanting.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see all the women kind of funnel into the room. You could kind of see the excitement on their eyes as they were walking in. But I'm curious for you, Jessica, when you first walked in and kind of saw everything as it was going on, what was your initial reaction?
I was really excited that day to go to Barrett House. I was a little nervous too, I guess, just because I don't really know why. We just never done an event like that before. And so I just was hoping everything was going to go really well and that the ladies would really enjoy the services. We did bring from Waxing the City also face masks, eye gels, lip gels, hand rejuvenation, all sorts of things so we could kind of pamper the ladies in between their services too. But initially I was a little nervous. I was both excited and nervous.
Yeah. And it was cool that this fell on the Friday before Mother's Day, because I know a lot of the women that were getting makeovers were mothers as well.
Yes, exactly. And one of the ladies who we did hair and makeup and waxing for, so she got all of the services, has 5 children. And I'm the mother of 2 children, and they keep me absolutely as busy as I can imagine being kept. And so this sweet lady has 5 kiddos, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, if anybody needs some self-care, it's the moms at the Barrett House for sure.
Yeah, and I'm curious for you, Jessica, what was the coolest part of that day? Because there was a lot going on in that community room at the Barrett House shelter. But for you, what was the best thing that you saw?
Hearing, I think, the way getting a beauty treatment, and, we taught... It sounds sort of superficial, but having been in the beauty industry now for almost a decade, the way women feel after having beauty services isn't superficial, because they do feel good on the outside, but that also makes you feel good on the inside. And there's a lot of pressure on women in our society to conform to beauty standards, and it's shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately that's the society that we live in. And so women do really get a big boost of self-esteem. I certainly do if I get my hair and makeup done or my eyebrows are looking gorgeous or whatever it is. So I think just hearing the ladies talk about how it made them feel and how they were ready to go out and just grab their day by the horns and just have a really good day.
Yeah, and you touch on that, Jessica, and it brings to mind 2 specific guests that I spoke to that were getting a makeover, June Herrera and Dakota, and they both had very, very awesome experiences. June in particular had told me that she had her granddaughter's high school graduation she was looking forward to,
yes.
And she wanted to do something special with her hair to surprise her granddaughter at her graduation. And you mentioned how, a lot of the women were just telling your stylist is, hey, just do whatever you think you want to, do whatever you think is best. I remember June saying that, and she got a blowout. She got curls in her hair, and when she walked out and kind of saw her reflection, she noted that she felt like she was her younger self again. And it was a pretty impactful moment. And for Dakota, she had her eyebrows waxed. She got her full makeup done. She made a few wardrobe changes as well. But she said something, and I remember glancing over at you when she said it, that kind of hit all of us, I think, in the room. She said that she had never loved herself more than she did in that moment. And that must have meant the world to you, I would imagine.
It really did. And I mean, I think the Barrett House is doing such an amazing job supporting these women in all sorts of different ways. And for us, it is just true that when you look good, you feel good. And it's just true. And so, yes, to hear Dakota say that was just really lovely. And June has gorgeous hair. Like, her hair is so gorgeous. And that was really, my stylists are like, ooh, we loved getting our hands on June's gorgeous hair. And that was really fun to make her feel special for her grandchild's graduation. That was so awesome.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Jessica, for your employees that were involved, you had Mia there, you had Bella there, you had Tony there. I would imagine when they left, they had a pretty amazing experience. Did they mention anything to you about the volunteering?
They loved it. So any single one I employ about 30 women across my 3 businesses. Any of them would have loved to have come. All of them were delighted to come. We just kind of brought a smaller crew for this first one because, as I said, we weren't exactly sure what to expect. And Fridays are busy days in our salons too, of course, but this was extremely important to us, so we wanted to make sure we were well staffed. The women that went, Tony, Mia, and Bella, just really, we absolutely loved it and really felt it feels so good to help just give back to our community a little bit.
Yeah, because I remember talking to Tony before you got there, and she said that all the employees were kind of scrambling over each other to be involved in such a great community event. And you had mentioned that you want to continue this with the Barrett House.
Yes. So Holly and I decided we're just going to do this on the Friday before Mother's Day. We're just going to make it an event that we know is happening going forward. And it just seems like Mother's Day is not that every single woman at the Barrett House is a mother, because there are some women there that don't have children, but just honoring women around Mother's Day and just the idea of, for the ladies also that are moms, just giving them that extra little special lift right before Mother's Day, we think is really nice.
So you guys have kind of maybe have started an inadvertent tradition, but a great tradition.
I hope so. I hope it'll be a new tradition. I don't see why it wouldn't be. We're so excited to do it, and the Barrett House ladies seem to love it, so we'll just keep it going.
And for you, Jessica, I'm curious, what was your biggest takeaway from the event?
Doesn't it seem, Gino, like in today's world that kindness is in short supply sometimes? People and I work in the customer service industry, and let me tell you, I see it all. I mean, we see people just acting wild. There's just a lot of unkindness out there, and it just was so fun. For us, it was a fairly simple thing to do. I mean, Tony and Mia and Bella are really great at their craft, and they're excellent at what they do, but that is a daily job for them. To go over and share their gifts with these ladies at the Barrett House is just to put some kindness and some happiness in the world. It's just it was just beautiful. It was just so fun to be there.
Yeah, because you mentioned that you want Albuquerque to have nice things. And this event in of itself seemed like it was one of those nice things.
I hope so. I sure hope so. You did such a lovely write-up of us in the paper in the Barrett House. Thank you so much. And I think it was a really, really nice thing. And when you share kindness with people, it can just be one person that is significantly impacted by that one kindness from one person. And we were able to impact a number of ladies at the Barrett House that day, and it was just really wonderful.
So I'm kind of curious. Has anybody else reached out to you since the article ran about possibly doing a similar event at their shelter?
No, but that's a really great thought. We used to help out at the Pink Warrior House, which is a local charity that helps support women that are going through breast cancer treatments. And we would go over and do wig styling for the ladies who were getting fitted for new wigs as they were coming through their chemotherapy treatment. And so we, are always happy to support the Pink Warrior House and also the Barrett House. But that was the first time we'd ever gone on site to a shelter like that and done something like that. But we would be very open to doing that for other places as well.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. I mean, I was really struck by when Dakota mentioned that she was so excited she had her hair and makeup done because she was going to take her kids who were going to visit her at the shelter out to dinner on Mother's Day. So she was very excited that she had a new look, and so were all the other women that got a makeover. And you mentioned it, Jessica, how powerful that is for those women. You could almost kind of see their confidence grow when they saw their reflection in the mirror. A lot of them hadn't styled their hair in a while. A lot of them hadn't done their full makeup in a long time. And it's almost kind of like we talked about this before we came on, how they came in almost as one person, but they really left as another person.
That's so nice. Yes. And these, beauty services are expensive, and, makeup is expensive. Drugstore makeup is expensive. Department store makeup is expensive. Hair products are expensive. Curling irons are expensive. I mean, all of that stuff is really expensive. And I think, the Barrett House is so beautiful and lovely, and they do such a great job of equipping the ladies that are staying there with all of the things that they need. But, I think beauty items are probably in fairly short supply. So that was just so fun to get to be there and bring that piece of self-confidence and feeling good to the women there.
Fantastic. Jessica, you and your employees definitely made a lot of women smile and probably made a lot of Mother's Days as well. Thank you so much for spending some time with me.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Gino. You as well. Thanks for what you do too. Thanks.
Thank you.